it's very large and very fragmented at the same time. While the broader interior market, which was existing, is very, very fragmented. I think we captured this segment and this need really well. The market is really large. It's upwards of $25-30 billion in India, and remains, upwards of 90% actually unorganized. The metros obviously hold a significant share, but I think beyond metros is also contributing close to 25-30% of our share now. On both segment expansion and geo expansion is definitely on our radar in terms of business expansion, while obviously continue to go deep into the cities that we are already present in. I think in terms of IPO and other plans, I think time will tell.
Hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome to ET Retail presents the Emerging Brands of Bharat. In this series, we are covering the up-and-coming retail brands of India. The series is powered by the Great India Retail Summit 2024. And today, we are in conversation with Saurabh Jain. He's the co-founder and CEO of India Operations Livspace. Hi, Saurabh. Thank you for joining us today.
Hi, Pallavi. Thanks for inviting me.
So, Saurabh, first things first, if you can take us back to the journey of how Livspace was started. What is the market gap that the brand is trying to fill?
Oh, definitely. So we started back in 2015. So actually, Pallavi, the idea was very simple. It sort of originated from, all of our, personal experiences and friends and families. Whenever somebody purchases a home in India, a new apartment actually, it's generally like a bare shell, wherein the developer hands over the apartment to you, and then one needs to get a lot of work done. Let's say kitchens, wardrobes, furnishing, furniture, false ceiling, painting to make it livable. And it tends to be a very significant purchase that somebody makes, in their entire journey. Like it's probably one of the top 5 spends that somebody do, right? And to our surprise, there was no organized player to get it done from. And the market, it's very large and very fragmented at the same time. And the new customer, the customer that is evolving and buying these homes would, like us, pretty much like us, would eventually need a more professional solution to get the home interiors done. I think so. That's how it originated in Bangalore back in 2015, and we are present in more than 50 cities of India, plus Singapore and Middle East as well.
As a consumer, also, I'd like to ask you. Decorating my home or innovating my home, it's a very subjective decision, right? How does one get standardized as a player? How do you give a standardized solution to your customer? How has that journey or that strategy looked like?
Sure, no, very good question. Actually, very interesting as well. See, it's a very infrequent purchase, a very event-driven purchase. Actually, for example, somebody buys a home, then they get the renovation done, or somebody living in an apartment, but maybe after a kid, after marriage, or an event-driven purchase. So the purchase tends to be very infrequent in nature. The purchase also tends to be very high in value, amounting to lakhs at the minimum. And also, as you mentioned, very, very involved and emotional in nature. Because customer has to live in that home for years and years. It tends to be very, very involved. And I think both the factors play out really well because there's a space that customer is decorating, so it is constrained by the space also, and also customer has their personal choices, so which makes it the need of the purchase very personalized in nature, and that's what Livspace also focuses a lot on. And while developing the solution, that remains at the core of how we build the solution, that it has to be personalized. Though the components that we used could be standardized in many ways, which are more supply chain components. For example, like the material that you use, various components, various vendors, and various manufacturing that you use is very, I would say a common base, but the solution that we make is personalized for each and individual customer, to specific to their home and specific to their needs and the budgets that they have. Yeah.
You highlighted a very important point earlier that it's a highly unorganized market, wherein
Yes,
there are few branded players that exist currently. In this market landscape currently, how easy or how difficult is it for a branded player to really come up and establish its place in the market? Or what is the main roadblock that exists here?
correct. Correct. Pallavi, I think what has happened in the real estate is, due to the increase in high rises in apartments, I think the real estate landscape fundamentally has changed a lot in the specific, especially the last 10 to 15 years. And a lot of new customers have moved into these high rises and apartments, as we say. Um, and in these high rises, also the share of organized builders is also increasing day by day, right? And more people are moving into these high rises and apartments. Generally, nuclear families, husband and wife working with without kids, professionals. I think that's a large customer segment of these properties. Now these this customers are also very well traveled. They shop online. They shop from various brands. So their needs and preferences have also evolved a lot. While the broader interior market, which was existing, is very, very fragmented. I think we captured this segment and this need really well and resonated with the customers a lot and went very, very deep into this sector, so that we can offer customers a very personalized and professional interior design and renovation solution, so that we can take up the apartment, can do everything end to end. So the way, Pallavi, we operate, I think a bit of background is, a customer comes to us, we allocate an interior designer based on customer's requirement, availability, location to that customers. And that interior designer leverages a lot of central technology, catalog, supply chain that we have built to craft a solution for the customer. So it is personalized definitely at the customer requirement end, and also has economies of scale at the back end. And that's how we sort of, the technology that we use marries both of them together to craft a solution. That has enabled us really well to organize a large part of the market. The challenge, I think, that you touched upon, why it has remained fragmented is, why smaller people have been able to serve this is nobody took an attempt to organize the market at a sort of, at a brand level, at a designer level, at a processes level, at a supply chain level. And I think it's a combination of all those things that has come together, which has enabled sort of Livspace to really command a leadership position in this market. The market is really large. It's upwards of 25-30 billion dollars in India, and remains, upwards of 90% actually unorganized.
Just a follow-up question, how do you see the role of pricing that a branded player like you puts forward to the customer playing here? I mean, I know you're pretty dominant in metros of the likes of Bangalore or Delhi and Mumbai, but 5-7 years down the line, when you trickle down, and there's a lot of infra which is coming up in your tier 2 and plus cities, and that's where the boost is going to be. How do you think this pricing will play a role?
And a very interesting question. We are very, apart from tier one and metro cities, we are very active in tier two cities as well. I mean, that also, we are actually present in close to 50 cities of India. And the tier two cities beyond metro cities also, is a dominant share, is a significant share, of our, top line today. So there is a wide adoption of live space in tier two geographies as well, in the non-metro locations as well. Now, coming specifically to your question about pricing, I think, because the purchase is so involved and infrequent and high value, customers generally, go very deep into the purchase, and it's the total cost of ownership that customers calculate. Because if somebody goes with an inferior solution, that they might have to rectify that over years, which may also add up to the cost. There's a cost of good design and good convenience as well that is also loaded on top of it. So if you present customer, with a very predictable solution, great on design, great on professionalism, Livspace offers a 10-year warranty, which means pretty much, they don't have the headache of maintaining it for years and years. So if you look at the total cost of ownership and with the sort of, hassle-free and professionalism that comes in, I think that's how the decision is being made in general for the customer, because it's a very, very important purchase, and you're not going to do it many a times, because whatever is sort of done in the fit out in the house is going to stay for some time now.
No, I think that's very well put. Can you, if you have to project, how do you see Livspace revenues coming in if we have to, broadly divide it between metros and beyond tiers?
See, the metros obviously hold a significant share, but I think beyond metros is also contributing close to 25-30% of our share now. Yeah, and the market we believe is much deeper. I think we can easily expand to close to 150, 200 cities and towns of India. Because if you just look back, I mean, home interior and renovation is a very essential need. So whoever is getting a new home sort of made or getting it from a builder needs to get the interiors and renovation done to make it livable. Right? So it's a very essential requirement, and it is pretty much somebody spends 10 to 15% of their home value on this purchase. For example, if somebody purchases a 1 CR worth of home, 10 to 15 lakhs typically people spend on interiors and renovation. So it is a very large ticket size. And that phenomena is true for metro, tier one cities, tier two cities, and beyond everywhere. And as urbanization is increasing, rise in disposable income, people preferences in terms of their design, taste, styles, exposure to various, international designs, and various influences that they are having on their in general preferences. It is going well beyond metro and tier one cities. So we see a huge potential for the overall home interiors and renovation market across the top 200 to 50 cities actually of India.
I like to pitch in as a consumer again. I think Pinterest inspired homes is a very big trend. I'm currently obsessing over it. So you're absolutely right. I mean, influencer inspired designs for your homes. It's a very big trend, just going to dominate. Yeah.
Right.
I want to understand, as an industry person, how do you see the entry of new players in this space? Do you think there's enough space, and what is that one notion that players who want to sort of make big in this industry will have to capture?
A very interesting question. See, market is very, very large. See, it's generally, I think the way to see is it's, as I mentioned, 10 to 15% of the home value that somebody spends. So imagine a 10 to 15% of the real estate. So the market is in, multi-billion dollars of TAM, as we say. Right. So definitely it's big enough, and most of it is fragmented. Upwards of 90%, if I'm not wrong, is actually fragmented market. It's very unorganized. So definitely the space, will accommodate many players, I would say. I think one way that I look at it is, of course, beyond the scale. I think it's because it's a services plus products kind of space. So some part of the businesses are really personalized and difficult to scale, while some of parts needs volume so that you can make the engine work. So technology actually plays a very, very critical role in terms of organizing the overall, I think, market. For example, if you see right from acquiring the customer to designing a customer on a software, digitizing the design processes, and in a work in a home, actually more than 200 250 people would be involved to get the work done. So passing on the relevant information to all the supply to the every bit of the supply chain and organizing it can be done through pen and paper, but then it cannot be scaled to a level. So the technology layer is really important to integrate all of this so that the scale and complexity can be managed. I think that, I would say, would be the biggest lever for anybody who wishes to organize the market. Because once you're able to build that full stack technology, then the economy starts kicking in, then the scale starts kicking in. But I think in absence of that, um, anybody would remain a smaller player in this market.
I have an interesting question here, sort of. At Livspace, is the technology team your largest, in terms of number, is that the largest, biggest team currently at Livspace, just to understand the strategy?
See, the largest teams, of course, are more design and operations teams because those are more deployed on the projects directly. So that tends to be the largest. But in terms of our central and headquarter functions, definitely technology is one of our largest teams because right from acquiring a customer, the marketing initiatives to the last leg of the supply chain and returns, the entire stack is digitized and it continues to evolve further. In fact, it would be impossible to manage even hundreds of home, forget thousands of home that Livspace does today in absence of technology. So that is the underlying, I would say, the common denominator or the common vector on which the scale and complexity is sort of achieved.
Got it. I think that's super insightful. I just have, one last question. Going forward, uh, we have heard very positive news about Livspace. Of course, there are media news that speculate a lot. So we've heard, about Livspace going for an IPO. How would you place the company's position 3 to 4 years down the line? And yes, your thoughts on IPO plans. Is it something on the cards? Is it something, as senior members, is it something in your mind already?
Got it. A very interesting question. Something that we also think, of course, on a daily basis. I think in terms of in terms of expansion plans first. So as I mentioned, we are present in 50 cities of India. We are sort of positioned as an aspirational brand. I would say in these cities. I think we are expanding in two vectors primarily. One is a geo expansion, which means from 50 to 200 to 50 cities we definitely want to cover. So that's a geo expansion. We also want to do price point innovations and launch more segments in the market. So one level up, so more premium end of the interior market, and one value brand as well. So I think on both segment expansion and geo expansion is definitely on our radar in terms of business expansion, while obviously continue to go deep into the cities that we are already present in. As you know, all of us know the real estate market continues to rise up, and it's sort of at its all-time high, and as it keeps growing further, we are a derivative of that, so that all those sort of apartments, buildings, floors will come to us in terms of interiors. So I think in existing markets, in newer geographies, and in both up and value segment, we want to sort of build our presence and grow our presence further. So that I think in terms of our expansion plans. I think in terms of IPO and other plans, I think time will tell.
Got it. I would like one closing comment from you, Saurabh, for the industry going forward and for players like you. Do you see B2C as the more dominant route or B2B?
Got it. So I think see, I think there are two things which are changing in the overall industry. See, one is I think the interior industry is built on home and customer both. The homes are also undergoing a massive change, which means I mentioned about high rises. Then luxury apartments are increasing. There are 3 BHKs, more than 2 BHKs, for example. More townships are coming. So and then there are apartments coming from various particular segments like elderly also, for example. And at the same time, consumer is also evolving. I think I think what real estate was considered as a sort of slow moving sector is doing major shifts in terms of underlying inventory and also consumer. So which is a sort of a double shift for the interior industry. So I would say for interiors, going direct to consumer is a good approach to capture to a specific need and go deep into it since the market is very, very large. And like Livspace sort of went really deep into the apartments, new customer, working population, major cities, and captured that very deep because these customers fundamentally lacked, the solution that they need. I mean, it's such a big purchase of the home, that somebody has to solve it for them, very frankly. It's a 15, 20, 25 lakhs kind of purchase. So consumer has a real pain point now in all of these cases. So definitely going direct to consumer uh, can be a good strategy in such cases.
Got it. Got it. But for Livspace, do we will continue to see your D2C arm as the more dominant one, if I'm getting that right?
I think so. For Livspace, you will continue to see that given, we have two more price segments to expand, 200 more cities to expand, and inherent demand of existing cities. I mean, this itself, I would say, can give us multifold growth to Livspace. So we'll continue to see, our direct to consumer business increasing a lot.
Great inputs, Saurabh, and really looking forward to more such exciting announcements by Livspace. Thank you so much again for taking out time to speak with us today.